All right, and we are going. What's going on with everybody? It is your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And I have a very, 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 very special guest on the other line. I will let her introduce herself. Who do we have here today?
Ravyn Lenae.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to chat. Thank you for having me.
For sure. I've interviewed multiple people who know you, and they
Yeah.
all speak glowingly about you.
Oh,
So
yay.
I'm super hyped for this. I think the last person I interviewed, we had like a very lengthy conversation about you. Was No Name.
My name, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, shout out to No Name. No
Oh,
Name just
girl.
yeah. She like loves you. You know, it was like she's a good person. Like the
Yeah.
first time I spoke to her, I was like, oh, this is just a good human being right here. You know.
Yeah. Love
Shout
her.
I feel like in the music industry, there's a lot of people rather behind the scenes or people that make music who are just not good people. And I'm pretty sure you've
Very
met those
true.
people, you know?
Very true. But she's someone who operates in the sense of like who she is, like is carried with her with whatever she's doing or whoever she's around. And I think that's rare.
No, for sure. Do you think like the people who are just like not good people in the music industry, is that like a mirror of reality or a mirror of like just society as a whole, or is the music industry like do people just kind of operate differently in there? Or would you just say it's like a mirror of how people are in society?
Think in a sense, the music industry is its own bubble in a way, but I do see the type of behaviors exhibited in the music industry also exhibited in the corporate world and across a lot of worlds. But there's something I think um, a little more predatory that happens in music, especially when you get into music super young. So yeah, it's just being wary of certain energies and certain people you align yourself with, I think is the main thing alongside making good music, but it's almost equally as important.
It's interesting because I feel like the entertainment industry in general is very just predatory and like just in general, you know,
Yeah.
figuratively and literally. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like I could say like it seems like it's distracted people from their art because the industry was just so hectic that they couldn't focus on acting or doing comedy or singing or whatever that they do, you know? So like
Yeah.
how do you kind of avoid that just getting distracted from like the noise around you?
It's something I'm still learning every day to be able to silence even just unwarranted opinions. Like I get opinions thrown at me from left and right,
Yeah.
not just by people who participate in the music industry, but people who uh, like consumers of music. So having to balance like random people on the internet and then people I trust and love and then people who maybe I'm inspired by or I model my career after. It's a lot of balancing. I think existing as an artist is a balancing act and an endurance game.
These people giving their opinions, are they giving opinions on like your music, your life? What are they giving opinions on?
It could be my music, personal life, and how that interacts with my music and my image and um, appearance. Like it comes down to everything. How long or short my nails are, or like everything.
I feel like as a girl is like even more critical, you know,
Yeah.
because like y'all have to let's think about like a rapper. Like a rapper could be like it's like a dead ugly man. I mean, just like hideous nigga
Yeah.
stink. You know what I'm saying? Just the nigga
Yeah.
that just like but he'll blow up because it's like man,
Yep.
this nigga from the streets, this nigga real. You know what I'm saying?
Literally,
Y'all can't do that.
I've been on the same shows with like some of my homies that are rappers, male rappers, and like maybe let's say it's a festival. We hop off the plane. What happens in between like the getting off the plane and getting on stage is very different
Mhm.
between me and them. They might keep the same outfit on they had on the plane and just roll up on stage. Whereas there's 3 hours, 4 hours of me and glam and this and that and making sure the clothes are right and but I think there's an extra layer placed on Black women to adhere to a certain standard as well. Like I think white musicians and white women in music are just able to exist in a different way than we are.
I'm gonna get something real quick. I just seen a picture of Kodak performing one in some of these. I just seen in front of somebody with the Haitian flip flops on. Imagine you did that.
If I did that, I would get ate up for weeks on the
And
internet.
they would be going they like, who is this? Y'all listening to her? You know what I'm saying? They would be going
That's
crazy
so
for you.
funny.
They're like, love is blind. She must be blind. Like they would just be going in on you. So yeah, I mean that seems like the more I just like I'm an observer. I like to watch and listen to people. And like just the more I just see how it is for specifically black women. It's already like a stigma for black men, but it's like y'all get even harsh. So it
Yeah,
is interesting to see like the things that we can get away with that
yeah,
y'all can't, you know? Because like you said, like somebody that you perform with, like he can perform in flip flops and
right.
basketball shorts, and people are like, all right, whatever.
I
You come with some flip flops and basketball shorts, it's like she don't care about her image.
it's like, did she even try? Does she care? Yeah.
Are you a person just like put music to a side? Are you like a big image person? Like, are you like a person that's like watching like freaking like makeup videos, makeup tutorial? Like, are you one of those people that you really overly care about your image?
I'm not that person that looks at makeup tutorials, but I'm interested in the artistic side of like visual expression more so. So I pin a lot of photos that I might see on the internet that inspire me, or even certain images that I thought were impactful, like maybe like a Janet Jackson or a Gwen Stefani, or like how that type of expression interacted with the music and made both things feel impactful and big. So that's something that I'm interested in versus like more so the day to day. Like this is my day to day.
Have you felt like you've had to become more like I don't know, like adapt to the environment in the sense where like you have to care more about that stuff because you are like a public figure?
I think absolutely. I think naturally being in the music industry and then understanding, like when I first started doing music, I didn't care about what my nails look like, what the makeup looked like, anything like that. But then the more I got around, women in music and specifically black women in music, I'm like, oh, there's a certain standard that's like expected of us to be able to even gain listeners in the first place.
The craziest thing as you're talking, I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, I have the privilege because if you came on here with a bonnet on, people would like be like, "Hey, what you doing hell?" You know what I'm saying? I wear a bonnet like, oh, this guy's funny. This guy's quirky. It's a quirky guy. So yeah, that is an interesting thing. Um,
It is.
I hear you talk about Janet Jackson a lot. I know that's somebody who influenced you. This is so random. Before we get into your music, I have been obsessed with this album since last year. I don't know if you ever heard this album before, but this is my recommendation to you. Have you,
Okay.
have you ever heard A. Marie's debut album, All I Have?
Not all the way through. Should I revisit it?
That might be one of the best R&B albums of all time. Not gonna lie.
Okay. I'm
And
gonna
if it's
revisit
not of all
it.
time, it's one of the best R&B albums of the 2000s. That album is flawless.
Really?
And it reminds me of you. She's doing a lot of things that I feel like you do. So that's why I was like, I
Right.
wonder if you're like hip to A. Marie at all. Because she's doing a lot of Ravyn Lenae before Ravyn Lenae, you know? So
That's so
yeah.
funny. Marie, all I had of this
Oh,
album.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's her debut. It's
Okay, I'm gonna listen to it today.
not to get in my conspiracy theory back, but the whole thing that like if you listen to the album, you're gonna come around like, why wasn't she like a big star? And like
Yeah.
the whole thing is like if you listen to that, you're gonna hear somebody a lot. You're gonna be like, damn, this kind of sound like this person. You're gonna sound like this person. She's
Yeah.
doing a lot of Beyonce, or excuse me, she's doing a lot of Beyonce before Beyonce, and Beyonce
Yeah.
like adapted her style and kind of like blew up with it. So
Exactly.
she has a lot of beautiful songs in there that I feel like you would appreciate. So yeah,
Okay, thank you for that. I'm gonna listen to it after we get off.
that's my recommendation to you. But to rewind to how I even discovered who you were, this had to have been 20. I don't know the year, to be honest with you, probably 18. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know how I found this song. I would have to really do some digging in my mind. But it was the Crush EP.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what is this? And I think I don't think it was Sticky. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is different. Like your
Yeah.
voice, the way the
Yeah.
You were so different, like, "Singing, singing all around, singing, singing on the ground," and that is crazy. I'm like, "Yo, what is this?"
Thank
And
you.
I left our I lived with that album or that EP for so long, just kind of just accepting, like, she's never gonna put out an album. Like, she's never she's gonna have us sitting here crushed, literally, just listening to, like, 5 songs, like, "Alright, I guess." So when and then, like, I will hear, like, oh my gosh, freaking, Montego Bay,
Yeah.
that's such a beautiful song. So you're giving us features here and there, but no music from you. So I'm just like, "Alright, I guess you're gonna have to, live with songs." So when you dropped Hypnos, similar to how I feel about the A. Marie album, I think that's gonna go down as one of the best R&B albums of this decade,
Thank you. That's so
by far.
sweet.
By far. That album is nuts. You're doing so many different sounds on there, and, before I talk about that album, because 'cause I'm finna talk about that album for the next, like, 3 hours with you, but thank you for being, just a great artist. Like, I really do like, your music is, very appreciated by me, and I just want to thank you, it really means a lot to me. I really do love your music.
Thank you so much.
For sure. Hypnos, that album is nuts, and I was watching an interview I think you did with Elise, I think her name is, the
Yeah.
girl from Canada,
Yep. Love her.
and you said something, and I was like, "You know what? I know I might need to be A&R because I was like, she said it, and I didn't even know that she felt this way. Because I listened to Inside Out, and the first thing I think of when I hear that song, I say, "This should be like a Disney song."
Yeah.
A very pretty song. This sounds like a movie that should be, like, for a Disney princess. And then I
Yeah.
interview, you said that you want to make, like, movies for, like cartoon, like Disney type movies.
Yeah.
And that song is one of those songs. W Did you go in the booth knowing that was that, or did it just come out like that?
It just kind of came out like that. Honestly, I think a part of um my music is this like whimsical, otherworldly feeling that I like to incorporate. So a lot of that is inspired by Disney and yeah, that world. And I would love to be able to like move into that and be able to write music to like these movies that inspire us all. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
You
know it wish I intentionally wanted that to feel like the moment in a Disney movie where like you're seeing yourself for the first time. Like the
No, for sure.
Mulan, what's the Mulan song? Uh I modeled it like right at like exactly like that song. Reflections.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, that does sound like a Disney song for sure, now that
Yeah.
you that, like, a lot of your songs, like, I have, like, a vision for, like, where it should be at, rather if it's, like, in a movie or if it's the music video, Love Me Not sounds like some, like, coming of age film with Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan. So,
Yep.
that's the sound. I don't know if you were going for that, but that's what that sounds like to me. So,
Yeah.
you have very, I wouldn't say cinematic music because I don't know if it's cinematic, but you have music that is like soundtrack music, and
Yeah.
I think I don't think a lot of people make that type of music anymore. I feel like that once upon a time, a lot of people did have that, but
Yeah.
that's where, like, you have a unique lane with that, so I need to hear you in, like, movies immediately, for
Yeah,
sure.
I would love that. Literally, I don't even start writing to a beat if I can't if I literally can't see it.
Mm,
So maybe that's where that comes in. Like I have to be able to place myself in it and understand what the world around me is in that song. And if I can't, then it's not gonna feel like magic to me.
are you
So
are you a visual learner?
yes, for
Got
sure.
got you.
Since I was a kid, like even like taking piano lessons, like I would refuse to read music, but I would like watch my teacher's hand and then
Mm.
just mimic what he did.
Do you
Like,
do
wait a minute, look up.
do you read at all?
Books
Yeah, like, read
or
books.
music.
No, book.
I go back and forth with it. Like I have seasons where I do, and then I don't.
I'm a visual learner, and I feel like I can read a book if I, like, terribly had to, but
Yeah.
I'm much more of, like, a I like to watch, like, documentaries. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that is a much better way for me to learn and take in information.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're the same way at all.
That very similar for sure.
Are you a
Very.
movie person in general?
Am I? I'm sorry.
A movie person in general?
I've grown to really love movies. I used to really love them when I was younger because my dad loved movies, and that was like one of the things we bonded over outside of music. Um, but now I've been like getting back into it and like really understanding what makes classic movies classic and how that can even I don't know, translate into music in a way. Because I feel like there are a lot of similarities between what makes certain things feel classic in like entertainment or whatever artistic expression.
What do you see the parallels between movie and music?
I think what makes a certain movie a classic, and this is me just as someone who is just now like understanding movies, is if the storyline just feels like it can exist in any time or any or relate to any person.
Mm.
And that's what I try to do with music through like being honest and I don't know, just peeling back those layers of my life, and making it feel like it can like it's my true story and like anyone can see themselves in it. So um beyond that, it's like the sonics of it. And I've been seeing this debate on Twitter about if Belly is a good movie or not. Have you been seeing that?
I've seen that for a few years. Yeah, I've seen that. You like that movie?
I just think it's interesting that people are like people are saying that it's a good bad movie. It's good because he's like breaking or pushing like the visual element of it, but the storyline is weak and the acting is weak.
You must agree because I said you like the movie. You said, "Oh, I think it's interesting."
I just think it's interesting. I just think it's an interesting topic. And then I asked my boyfriend about it, who loves movies. He was
Yeah,
like, "They're right," and he loves Hype Williams and like that time of movies. But I thought that was so funny.
it's a little, it's definitely a little all over the place. I watched it for the first time last year. It's like it's definitely beautiful, and then like I don't know, like I'm not for sure what the plot was towards the end.
Yeah.
It's like Nas is like chilling with Louis Farrakhan. I think that's supposed to be Louis Farrakhan. I'm not for sure. I'm like, is he Nation of Islam now? What's happening? They're trying to
Yeah.
kill Farrakhan. I'm like, what is this? What is happening? Trying to kill Louis Farrakhan. What's happening? So yeah, that movie is a little. I couldn't tell you the plot of that movie to be honest,
Right.
but I mean, it has some cool shots. You know.
The shots, yeah, like my boyfriend was like, you can pause that movie at any point and it's like a beautiful like angle or shot. So I don't
Even
know.
he like the banana. That's a cool shot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's an interesting film for sure. What would you say the last movie that you've seen that really like left you like this is cinema. This is what cinema's supposed to be.
Mm, the last movie I saw. Oh, I gotta think about that. 'Cause we watch so much stuff. Let me think about that.
I've been watching a lot of movies lately, so I'm in my movie bag
Yeah.
asking you that.
Let me think. Can we come back to that? I want to think about
Yeah,
that
for
and give
sure, for
you
sure.
a good answer.
We'll circle back to movies. We'll circle back
Okay.
to your album, Hypnos. It is Hypnos. I'm saying that right, right?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing album. Like I said, from the way it starts off, because I think if I'm not mistaken, the intro is produced by Steve Lacy, right?
Yes.
That is such a beautiful song. It's like some of the shortest songs in there are some of my favorites because Higher is crazy.
Yeah. Thank
I think it's
you.
like a Monte Booker beat, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Hmm.
That song is so, so good. And I'm always curious about what makes an artist kind of like makes like a short song versus a long song. Were you
Yeah.
just like done? Like, was that just the length of the beat? Like, what makes like what made you say I'm gonna make Higher shorter than most other songs on here?
One, nobody ever mentions that song. So this is like my first time thinking about it in a long time. Um, I think you just get an understanding of when it feels like you said all you could say on the song, or it doesn't feel like it needs any more of me on it. Because I love that Higher has like that long instrumental part. And to me, that just felt like what was necessary to end the song, and also where I placed it too, just felt like kind of a palette cleanse, readjusting, recentering before we get into like the next part of the album. So I don't know. Every song calls for something different. So
People not bringing up higher is kind of crazy.
no one's ever brought that up. This is the first time, I think.
That song is I'm hiding inside of my window pane. Song is crazy. What? No, that's do you have songs where you're like, this is one of those ones and nobody really brings it up, but it's one of
um,
your personal favorites.
one of my personal favorites off Hypnos
Just in general.
in general. hmm,
Like these aren't probably fan favorites, but it's your favorite.
It's so funny because I feel like whenever I'm about to put an album out, I have a favorite and I think no one else is gonna like it. But then I'm like, oh, like me and my fans are so locked in that they end up really liking that one. And I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Like
That's
even on the new album, Days, that's the last song on the project. I thought that song would literally just be for me and that
mm,
nobody would even really care about it or think anything of it. But that's like one of the favorites so far. So I'm like, oh, okay, like we're really locked in. But as far as a song that I feel I love, but maybe not anyone else. Maybe maybe Like You Do. I love
mm.
that one a lot. Yeah. I
Like you
love
do.
that.
You that's my point. It's like all these songs we're talking about, like you do. What else are we talking about? Freaking higher. Like,
Yeah.
oh, these songs sound the same. Like
Yeah.
you have like a lot of, how do I say? You have a lot of sounds. Is there a
Mhm.
sound that you feel like you're more comfortable with, or do you try, or do you feel, are you like equally comfortable in each lane, or is there a sound that you feel like is your bread and butter when you go in the booth? You know that's going to be a hit.
Mm, that's a good question. Um, I think what feels the most comfortable for me is usually I keep saying that at least on the new album, "Love Is Blind" is like the most Ravyn Lenae song ever because it has the strong melodic element that I try to have in every song, but it also has the kind of off kilter drum pattern, and then it has these classic fluttery chords that makes a Ravyn Lenae song to me. So whenever those are in the mix, like I know this is gonna hit for me.
No, Love is Blind. I've been going back and forth between a couple, but that's one of the ones that's getting stuck in my head. Like I
I
can't get
love
Love is
that.
Blind. Like the hook to Love is Blind has like been in my head. What
Yeah.
exactly inspired Love is Blind?
You said what inspired it?
What inspired Love is Blind?
The lyrics or the production
Just the
stuff?
song in general. Just like so, like what was that a song where you had the product? Was the production made in front of you? Was it emailed to you? Like how did that song even come about?
Yeah, so that song we built that up from scratch.
Mm.
Me, Dahi, and Salamaphonic were in the studio. I can't what came first? I I think the drums came first. No, I'm sorry. The chords came first. And I
Mm.
remember being like, "Oh my God, I love these chords. Something about them feels classic and like pretty and something that we didn't have on the album yet." And from there, that's where the melody happened. And then Dahi is just insane because he can hear certain pockets that none of us would have ever heard. um, so yeah, that I guess that's how that song was built. And then Salamaphonic, he had the guitar in his hand the whole time, and he kept playing with the melody, on the guitar, and I was like, "Ooh, that would be so crazy if that was the melody. Like I followed that melody in the hook, and that was like the anchor of it." Um, so I love when like songs can exist in this electronic feeling world, but then you bring in real warm instruments like a guitar or real bass. Something about those together just like scratches an itch in my brain.
No, that like I said, that song is like super duper like beautiful. It's like it's so I guess you're right. It is like the perfect Raven Lenae song. Like if you were to show somebody like, hey, like that's never heard one of your songs before, it's like, what's a song I should get into? I feel like that is like a good like introductory like
Yeah,
song for sure, for sure.
I agree.
No, is that the most like Raven Lenae song ever? Would you say, or is there a song where
Not
like
ever. I think that one alongside Sticky are probably the 2 that I will play people. Yeah.
Is Sticky most people introduction to you?
I think so. Like, whenever anyone, like, tells me the first time they heard me, it's usually Crush or Sticky. So,
Yeah, Sticky. How did that go so far? Like how did that blow up? Like was that the first song that kind of got that much traction?
yeah, for sure. Um, I don't even think there wasn't any method to it really, or any calculating moves behind the scenes that made it kind of spread the way it did. But I think people could just hear that spark that me and Steve have, with that song. And I think it was just an exciting time for, R&B and funk or indie, whatever you want to call it, to kind of like collide, especially with Black young artists. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what made it spread like that.
No, that is crazy because like seeing that song go so far, was it surprising to you or was that like what you expected it to do?
I don't even know if I had any expectations around it. I knew that I loved the music I was making with Steve, and I wanted to get it out. That was still so I was like 18 then. So even then I wasn't even thinking about people's responses to me putting out music, or where music um could take me as far as traction and money or whatever it may be. Like, that was still when I was just making things just to make them
That
and
was just
putting it out because I wanted to.
like high school you essentially.
High school, yeah.
And now you're making like some of the best music of all time, you know? So
Thank you.
yeah, like I said, that how do you leave me? Yeah. Song is so fire. But
Thank
before
you.
we get into that album, I guess I've seen some people talk about it, but I don't think there's been enough emphasis on something going behind the scenes. DJ Dahi is like
Yeah,
he's like a legend. He's like a
yeah,
genius, like a goat. That's like one of my like bucket list interviews because I feel like
yeah.
he doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
He
Like
does.
DJ Dahi has my favorite beats ever,
Yeah.
ever created, and I don't feel like people talk about it. And when I seen that I found out that he worked on this album after I heard it, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
this is Dahi." I was like,
yeah.
"Okay." I was like, "No wonder I love this album." Like, of course, you are blessing it with the vocals, but just the production and
Yeah,
the ear behind it. Like you say, he's hearing things that nobody in the studio is hearing, so
yeah.
he's putting his like extra touch on it. So yeah, how did you and Dahi even meet?
So we met like one of my first trips to LA. And that was around the same time I met Steve for the first time too. So I was like 17 coming to LA for the first time and doing sessions and having an understanding of what that's like, beyond me working with my friends in Chicago. So he was one of my first sessions here, and I remember at the time being a big fan of his. We made one idea that day, and I think we just kind of like lost contact after that. I didn't really check back in with each other. Um, but still like sort of stayed in contact, just, hey, what's up? What you doing? But we didn't ever get back in the studio until Bird's Eye. And usually when I'm starting a project, I like to do a bunch of sessions with producers that I've worked with and haven't worked with before, or people I've been curious about. Um, just to get a feel for where I want to go, like, with the sound for the next thing. And Dahi was one of like the first sessions around it. And I remember after our first session, I called my manager and was like, I have to do this with Dahi and nobody else. So it just felt like that instant spark that I've had with Monty, that I've had with Steve. Um, and when that happens, I try to like move impulsively on it because it's rare.
Is this his first? Well, I don't think it's his first. Was this his first like R&B project that he's kind of like looked over?
Executive produce, I don't wanna say the wrong thing, but I think so.
Mm.
Yeah, we should double check that. But
Sure,
I
we
think
should.
so.
I think so too, and it's interesting because you couldn't tell. Like it sounds
Yeah,
like he's been making. You wouldn't even think he's like a hip hop producer. You think he just like he just been doing R&B his whole life or whatnot. So it
his
sounds
dad, he's not
it,
a hip hop producer.
He's much bigger than that. That's
Yeah.
like, I certain beats it's funny, like, it's certain beats that I really like by him that I've heard him give to people, and they're not, like, even hip hop beats. Like, he has, like, a song with Absol, it's on the These Days album. I think the song is called Tree of Life, and, like, it's, like, the second half of the beat is produced by DJ Dahi, and that's one of those things where it's, like, kinda like how you're saying, like, there's certain songs that you really like, people don't talk about. That's, like, an Absol song that I think about where I'm like, nobody talks about the second half of, like, this 5
Yeah.
song, but it's
Yeah.
good, and DJ Dahi just gave him, like, a ridiculous beat, and
Yeah.
little rapped over it really good, so, yeah, he is, like, one of those people that I feel like really deserves his flowers, so I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you, and him worked on this album together because I really want people to be like, "Wow, Ravyn Lenae is hard. Who helped make this album?" It's a DJ
Yeah.
Dahi, you're like, "Oh, man." So, no, yeah, this album is really, really good. Is this an album where it's maybe very hard to answer because the album just came out, it's very, very new, but, like, are you a person that not even ranks your album because I hate, like, ranking things, but,
Yeah.
like, does this sit in a different place than, like, Hypnos does for you? Because Hypnos doesn't sound like this at all. Hypnos
Yeah.
is a much R&B focused album.
Yeah.
There's things where it's, like, almost like rock influence a little bit on
Yeah.
here, like, different things going on, so, I think it's on that least album that you're, like, listening to No Doubt, making this album or
Yeah.
what like, when you if they were existing in, like, the same world, are Hypnos and, and Bird's Eye, are they kind of, like, existing in the same like, planet-ish as each other, or are these, like it's like the MCU, like the Marvel Universe or whatever. Are they
Yeah.
in the same universe, or are these, like, 2 different universes that they exist in? That might
Yeah.
be the worst question I've ever asked in my life.
No,
I hope
no,
you
it's a
follow me.
good question. These exist in very different places to me in my mind. Mostly because when I made both, I was in very different places in my life. And I think each album is gonna feel like that for me. You're not gonna get the same Raven twice. And that's something that I'm committed to and that keeps music fun and fresh and exciting and inspiring for me. Um, so this album in particular, I think exists on a different place. Not that it's better or that anyone is worse than the other. I think I don't like ranking albums either. It's like my least favorite thing to do because I don't think you can do it, honestly. Um, but with this one, I was just in a place where I wanted to return back to those feelings that I had about music when I first started, and that was feeling impulsive about it, following my intuition, not really thinking about the outcome too much, not overthinking, period. Around Hypnos, there was a lot of overthinking. There was a lot of me second guessing myself as an artist, what I brought to music as a whole, and if it mattered. Um, how I existed in my own personal life with friends, with family, with relationships. So there was a lot of question marks around myself, and that's why we have Hypnos, and that's why it's so beautifully honest. And so with this one, I knew that I wanted to really exert myself in a way that I used to, where I'm acknowledging, these different influences I have, um, and not being shy about that, not being ashamed about that, or feeling like I have to box myself into this R&B category when that doesn't feel honest for me.
Like, a lot of, like, rappers per se, they might release, like, albums, like 3 albums a year or whatnot.
Yeah,
Seem like you probably don't wanna do that because you wanna kinda, like, let life happen for you to make an
yeah.
do you ever find yourself having, like, writer's block just because of the space that you're in and maybe you're just not in that space, or are you just writing all the time?
I suffer from writer's block. I wish I was like when I see me going to the studio. He can go to the studio every single day and make something amazing.
Mm,
I'm so jealous about people who can do stuff like that. I need time in between writing to experience something
mm.
that like draws me back to the beat or draws me back to the concept I was thinking about. It doesn't come to me that naturally. And I don't know if that's something like I'm still trying to figure out like how to like kind of trick my brain into or challenge myself a little bit more and like forcing that. But then at the same time, it's like, um, my process is what it is for a reason, and people connect with the music. So I don't want to tailor it too much.
Do you think being stagnant might hurt you in a sense where you said like no album would be the same because you're gonna be in a different spot? If
Yeah.
you make the album 2024, 2025, August 29th, you feel like you're in the same place that you were in that last point, would you be able to make an album, or would you have to feel like you've evolved or something has changed in your life to make an album?
Something has to be changing internally for me. Some shift has to be happening. And with Bird's Eye, there was a major shift happening, and that's why one, I was able to make it like much more quickly than I've made projects in the past, and it was a positive shift. So that was inspiring in itself.
Is this why it took what 2018 to 2022 to get Hypnos?
I think like hindsight, um, yeah, it was just a lot of me being stuck in my head and kind of shrinking into myself in a really weird way that I'm still trying to understand. Um, yeah, and like sometimes I like knock myself over the head, like, "Girl, why did you wait 4 years to put something out?" Then other times I'm like, "Ugh, I needed those 4 years for whatever reason to be able to come back to music with the new lens and be able to even put out Bird's Eye. Hypnos was needed." So um yeah, I'm still trying to understand what that 4 years was.
Well,
Um,
in between those 4 years, were there songs that are just like vaulted, just you just never put out that you're recording that, you just maybe you just didn't feel like it was need to be put out? Like, are there a bunch of songs in the stash from that time, or is there not a lot from that time period?
I wasn't really making anything that I didn't feel strongly about to be on an album. I struggle with that.
Mm.
It's hard for me to just make songs not. I don't want to say for fun, but it's hard for me to make songs and not have like a destination for them or a home for them. Um, So that's why like I have a lot of songs that just aren't finished, but it's hard for me to really see a song through if I'm not feeling like, oh, this is gonna find a place somewhere.
So you don't have a big vault of unfinished,
No,
or excuse me, you don't have a big vault of finished songs.
no.
It's just like kind of demos and ideas that you have.
Demos and ideas, yeah. Hmm.
Gotcha. That's interesting that like you can't just like I said, like make it for the LOLs, I guess. You just can't just go in there and do
I
that.
wish I could because it sounds so fun, but I'm too serious.
Are you a serious person?
I think I think I think I'm a very focused person, and so it may feel hard for me to kind of bend a little bit, especially with something I attach myself to so like aggressively, like music. Um, so I wouldn't say I'm a serious person, but I take music seriously.
You seem like listen to your music. It's almost like it's just like wonderless. It's like this just like whimsical, just like fun. But
Yeah.
you actually seem like an intense person, low key. Like you actually like I'm like I wouldn't try you. I'm not gonna lie. Like you you look like you know what I'm saying? Like you
I seem intense. Really? What gives you that?
I wanna say I say
I'm weak.
so okay, so there's been a few times where there's been like noise in your background and you like give a look. I don't know what's going on in your background. I'm like, hey,
He over here rolling up. I'm
I'm like,
like,
hey, I don't know who that is in the background, but it better be you better be careful, man. They good. Hey, hey, they can make a little noise in the background. They good. I promise. I promise, bro. Good.
I'm so weak. He just be ignoring me. He be like, girl, I'm so dead. I
You want
promise
to
I'm not that
you want to know
intense.
something funny? I've been trying to figure out a way to bring that up since you've been doing it. I've been trying to figure out. I'm like,
Funny.
how do I bring this up? Not sound like an asshole. I'm like, I'm really trying.
Because he choose right now to roll up.
It's so funny. So yeah, that was so yeah. As soon as you said I'm serious, I was like, there you go. I'm gonna bring
There
it
you go.
up.
There's my end. There's my end. I'm weak.
That is
I'm so weak.
funny. No, I honestly like I know a lot of people that make music, and I'm not saying this is you, but the best artists I know are crazy people. I'm not gonna lie. Like, y'all people look crazy. So if
We
you
might
like,
have a little loose screws missing a little bit.
if we think about every goat, definitely like soul music and R&B music. There was some crazy ass people. There's some crazy ass people back then.
I
So
think I think you have to have a few loose screws
why
to
is
like
why? It's so interesting.
I don't know to pursue something that's so dependent on you being a little delusional in a way. I think you got to be a little kooky.
Sure. That me bringing that up and not knowing how you would react, this reminds me. So I was at like a concert doing interviews backstage a few weeks ago, and there's this rapper No Cap. His
Yeah.
security guard looked just like this boxer
Okay.
named Errol Spence. And I have this thing where I don't know why, but like if somebody looks like somebody, I'm like, yeah, you look like this person. So he's like this buff dude or whatnot. So I'm like, I'm gonna say it. I said, hey bro, you watch boxing at all? He's mean mugging the entire time. He's just like, I'm like, hey, bro, you know who Errol Spence is? I was like, yeah, man. I was looking across the room. I like, man, that's like Errol Spence, and I'm like laughing. He is
Yeah.
not laughing at
No
all.
laugh.
He is dead ass serious. He like, so now I gotta figure out a way to get out this conversation. So
Oh,
I'm walking back like, all right, man, nice to meet you. Nothing. I'm just like, that was so awkward. So I'm thinking like, what if I say this to her and she just like,
that's so funny. No, that's actually hilarious. I'm that's funny you think I'm serious because he's much more serious than me, but I'm just like, you now at all times.
oh, you have like that. You were giving him like the black mama look. You know how like
Yeah.
when yeah. So I'm like, I don't think that's an animal jumping around. I got to be a human the way she's looking at this nigga. You don't
If
look
I was doing that to a dog, that would
yeah.
be so funny. That would be funnier.
That is funny. You have like a good personality. Like has it ever like have you ever like how do I say this? Because you also seem like a bit reserved. Have you ever like entertained the idea of doing things like because I seen you say like you struggle like doing TikTok sometimes, like doing things to put your personality out there, or are you just more so like I'd just rather put music out there?
I think I think it's hard for me. It's not hard for me to express myself like in person or like this. It's hard for me when I'm thinking about it and having to make it translate online. That's like five other steps to me. And that's what makes me kind of like retrieve or like not be interested in it or it feel unnatural to me. So I have no issue like engaging with people in person. Like that's my favorite thing ever. But when it has to live online and it has to connect with people online, that's where like question marks come up for me for some reason.
You go to public school?
I went to a public high school. I went to a very, very small Christian school on the south side.
She was a public Christian school.
Elementary.
Oh,
No,
elementary.
private.
Gotcha.
Elementary.
Private
Yeah.
elementary, but public
hmm
high school. So like in
Yeah.
high school, were you like you're like the popular girl? You're like the quiet girl? You're like the like what were you in high school?
I wouldn't say I was just a girl that like liked hanging out with everybody. Like I think I went to an art school, so it was very kind of clicky. Like you had the theater majors hanging out with each other, the dancers hanging out with each other, the black dancers hanging out with each other, the white dancers hanging out with each other, the visual artists not hanging out with anybody. So I was a person that just liked to float around and make friends with everybody. That's just always been me.
I went to a what do you want to call it? I went to a middle school that was an art school. So that
Mm,
like is a very like that's an interesting thing. Like a lot of people haven't
yeah.
experienced that, but like going to an art school, I'm assuming you were vocals, that's what you're going there for.
Yeah. hmm
What was like all the categories that you could be there for?
It was vocal performance, which was me, and then there was instrumentalists, there was acting, creative writing, visual arts, dance. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, that was like my school as well. It's super interesting, like because I went to like a all black elementary school. There was like one white person there, so that's all I knew was just niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
That's all I
There was
was.
no white kids in my school.
But then when I went to the middle school, I'm meeting different. I'm like, I was like, bro, I don't think I've never met an atheist before. I'm like, this shit crazy.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying?
that
So
was me in high school.
it was so like, was it a culture shock a little bit for you?
Um, I don't even know if it felt shocking. It felt like this is how I was supposed to kind of exist
Mm.
like all along in a way. Just being around other artists, being around different personalities, different backgrounds. So it didn't feel shocking to me for some reason, but it felt like, oh, like I'm getting a glimpse into like every possibility in every like walk of life
No, for
for the
sure.
first time.
I feel like it's a good experience for a kid to have because I feel like you become more open-minded to things versus
Yeah,
people who are like our age who are a bit closed-minded because they were just around people that was just like them. You know what I'm
a
saying? So
thousand percent.
I think that is really, really good. I do want to touch on one more thing before I let you go about your album. But I
Yeah.
thought about one thing and it goes back to what we were just talking about. You're from Chicago, right?
Hmm.
You're definitely crazy. You're from Chicago. So I'm like, all right, this makes all the sense. This makes all the sense in the world. All right. All righty. Shout out to that.
Oh my god.
Shout out to that. Shout out. Hey, we're already in a silly mood, I guess, right now. Who writes the descriptions for the albums on Apple Music?
That is a great question because I just sent that to them a week ago and was like, "What is this?"
The nigga just see 2 features. Oh, she got 2 features on the album. That's it.
It's so
That's crazy.
bad. It's so. Is it
I'm,
still like that?
let me read it. Oh, they just changed it. They just
Okay.
changed it.
I
Oh man.
complained. I complained. What does it say
Okay,
now?
but let me tell them what it was before. Beforehand, it was something of the sense like
It
she
said
got a
featuring
child
Childish
Gambino
Gambino and Ty
and
Dolla
Tyler
Sign.
Johnson. And that was it. That
Yeah,
was it.
I
I will
complained.
I will say this is they still gave you like one sentence, which is
What
still
does it say?
the Zero Fatigue artist pushed the limits of R&B on her second album.
Yeah, that's not okay. See, now I gotta complain again.
What are they doing? Who
I'm gonna
are
just write it myself and then send it.
so that's what I was gonna ask. Like, can y'all write that, or is that just Apple Music like interns writing that?
I don't know who it is, but I complained to my management, and then I think they sent it to whoever. But maybe I need to get really specific about what I want them to say.
But it's not your manager or anything writing that.
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no,
I
no,
was about to say if somebody on your team wrote that, you might need to
no,
let him go. You might need to let
no.
him go.
I have a feeling it's somebody at Apple
Has
doing
to.
that. Yeah.
I will the craziest you might have one of the craziest ones I've seen because that was like wow to me. But I've actually seen Apple Music descriptions where they're like, "Hey, this album not good," which is insane to me. If you, I swear to God, let me find the album real quick.
That must be the artist doing that, like to be
No
funny.
way, no way no, it wasn't even that. This is like an album from like 2003. Like it's no way he did this. If
Let
you,
me see.
if anybody wants to go listen, go look at Talib Kweli's album Eardrum for 2007. The thing is essentially saying like, yeah, he didn't really live up to the expectations of this album. It's insane.
That is so messy.
Literally, it says the album becomes most tiring when Kweli grabs about how marginalized status as an underground rapper abandoned by a fickle fan base. In truth, if Kweli isn't relevant in 2007, it's his own. It's his own fault.
They pulled that from a review or something. It's not supposed
But
to be
why
a
would you put
review.
that? Why would you put that in the description? That is nuts.
That's nasty work.
So let's hope they don't do that to like your next album later. Just
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
god.
this Ravyn Lenae album ain't really hitting like the last two.
That is crazy.
That is so funny. But no,
That
before we get out of here, if let's say this is somebody's first exposure to you, they haven't heard anything, but they want to check out this new album. What? Because Apple Music did not do a good job. What are they going? What are they going in listening to? What should they be expecting?
they're gonna expect to hear a glimpse into who Raven is, what my childhood felt like, the high points, some of the more painful points, and just walk away with a deeper understanding of me as a person and my music.
Alright. If there's any last words you have to say for the people watching, let it be known.
Any last words? Um, I don't know. I'm just always shocked and happy and grateful for people listening and wanting to speak to me about it and ask me questions. Like this was a great interview. You've asked me things I've never been asked. Thank you. um
That's like
Yeah,
my favorite thing to hear people say. Like, I've never been asked that before.
yeah. Well, this is one of my favorites for sure.
You know who said that to me? And I was like, bro, you've been doing music since for like 50 years. I interviewed Bobby
That-
Caldwell,
He said that.
said that. And one of my favorite comments on that video, somebody quoted him saying, I've never been asked this in my career. And somebody said, if somebody says that, that must mean these questions are ass. Maybe so, maybe so, maybe so.
That
That is
is
so
so
funny.
crazy.
So I hope when you said I hope I asked you good
No, it's
questions.
a great thing. It's a great thing.
But no, I appreciate you coming through. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate my boy for rolling up in the back, so you giving mean looks. That was hilarious. That really added to this might be my favorite moment of the year of any interview. That was hilarious. Um, Gosh, that was funny. For everybody watching, please go listen to Bird's Eye, one of the best albums of 2024. And
Thank
until
you.
next time, I say what I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, players gonna play, and you guys holler at your boy.